We got to get into some breaking news that happened right before the show, though, where Brandon Aubrey's concerned.
Yeah, no, this is not altogether surprising because, one, the second round tender timeline coming and going without somebody offering a deal to Aubrey should have been expected. Nobody was going to offer him, because in order for the Cowboys to not match, you were going to have to offer him, what, $10 million a year? You're going to offer Brandon Aubrey $10 million and give the Cowboys a second-round pick? Nobody around the league was going to do that. So that we knew was going to come and go. And sure enough, as soon as that timeline was done with on Friday, here you go with a new contract for him. So it was just both of these sides running through the matriculation through the offseason, and now this is finally done. And earlier than we're used to seeing with the Cowboys and one of their best players with a contract.
Yeah, I wonder if they were just waiting for the deadline to come, and the framework was probably in place because, once that deadline hits, he's going to be a Cowboy for 26. You may as well, if you knew you were going to do an extension, you may as well just get it done. So I wonder if there was some framework put together there. His agent's Todd France. He's very embedded with the Cowboys organization, obviously.
Jerry Jones knows his name.
Jerry Jones knows his name. I would imagine they've had a phone call before.
I just would have loved to see kicker negotiations get into something similar to Micah Parsons. Just to see what that would be like.
A week before the season, Cowboys are trading Brandon Aubrey.
Exactly. But
could you imagine Brandon Aubrey at training camp holding court and holding like, trade me?
First of all, it doesn't fit the personality. Second of all, it's the position. But just to give an idea of how valuable he's been, I just want to call up 34 real quick, or VO34, which should be a graphic detailing how good he's been in comparison to the early part of NFL history. He's got 6 60-yard field goals or longer in his career. All other kickers in the NFL from 1960 to 08 had 6. Currently, if you just look at the entire history, he's got about a quarter of them. He's been that good from long range. It's literally unseen in NFL history.
He's fantastic. There's no two ways about it, and he will continue to push the boundaries of what's possible.
Guys, he missed a couple at the end of last year. I think he's declining. He's a declining player.
Don't say that.
A couple of last year.
Seriously, though,
so the Cowboys gave a big money deal to a declining asset. We've never seen that happen before.
My goodness
maybe it's just I got to stop reading the comments because I see too many people on social media talk about, he missed a couple towards the end of last year. He's not as automatic as we once thought. I'm like,
but
you're insane.
But that's part of the reason why I was so frustrated why they didn't trot him out for the 70-yarder earlier in the season. It's like, you don't know how long this window is going to last. Kickers are notoriously up in the air in terms of how consistent they are. They can be inconsistent. Mason Crosby for the Packers, I know, granted, that's my specialty to some degree. But
you have 6 seconds of Packers talk.
Okay.
The resident Packers fan on the panel.
Mason Crosby had 2 bad years, and the rest of it was one of the most consistent and best kickers in the league from a 55 and on range. These guys go through peaks and valleys. It just happens naturally. You just got to stick through them. You can't sit there and think, well, Brett Maher is done. Let's kick him to the curb.
There are elements of being a kicker that are akin to a golf swing.
100%.
And for it to ebb and flow the same way that a golf swing sometimes can is not altogether shocking. He has been remarkably consistent, despite what you're talking about. He did miss a couple deep ones late in the season. You're not going to hit every 50-plus yard field goal attempt. You're going to hit, if you're Brandon Aubrey, 90% of them, and he has, and that is an incredible asset. And the fact that they do have the Giants game, this kick right here, is the value of Brandon Aubrey. Every other team in the NFL loses that game, save for maybe the Jaguars with Cam Little. That's the one exception to that rule.
Monster leg.
Yes. And really the guy who's right now in that competition, if you will, for best kicker in the NFL. But everybody else, 30 teams anyway, of 32, lose that football game. But because you have Brandon Aubrey, they were able to come back and win that one. That is an unbelievable value that you normally can't ascribe to a kicker. But that's why this guy's going to make $28 million over the next 4 years.
Especially when you play half your games in a dome. I mean, it's the added value there. The added value in terms of points on the board for an offense that, when healthy, continues to be top 3, top 5 in the NFL. So this was a move that it just seemed like it would have been silly for it to not go this direction, because for both parties, he wanted to be the highest paid kicker, and he deserved to be. But for the Cowboys, they don't have to, worry about going to find another kicker. So, Aubrey stays home. To me, I'm more surprised that it got done in short order.
Yeah.
Because I'm just with the Cowboys. I'm just so used to things going until August, September, and yeah.
The run he has had, though, over the last 5 years is genuinely remarkable.
Yeah.
To go from where he was, living in Plano, software engineer.
You keep saying that like it's the boonies. It is Plano.
I'm not saying it's far away. I'm
No,
just
I'm
saying,
just saying, like,
he was just a guy.
No, I know.
And now he's the highest paid kicker in NFL history, and he did it in a 5-year span, kind of on a lark, because his wife watching a game said, I'll bet you could do that.
One of the few times that move has worked, by the way. Don't do that. Just be careful.
Hey, listen,
right?
hold on. Supportive wives are
I'm not talking about that
valuable
part.
thing.
I'm not talking about that part. I'm talking about the idea that you can do what everyone's doing on TV. That's a little different.
That's fair.
I'm not going out there watching.
We are talking about a guy who was a collegiate soccer player and was an elite athlete in his own right that made it to Major League Soccer. Like, this wasn't just Joe Blow. When I say he was just a guy, he was more than just a guy that was living in Plano.
There are
5
several
years
caveats
ago.
to this.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But to do what he has done, to turn that kernel of advice from his wife into his UFL career with the Birmingham Stallions and into being now the best kicker in the NFL and the highest paid kicker in the history of the game, it is an unbelievable rags to riches story that he's singular in that regard, especially given the position that he plays. We've seen other guys make huge money at all of the other positions on a football field. For a kicker to be making this kind of money, he is, for kids that live in Plano now, how is he not the example of, like, look what he did?
Yeah, he's a bit of an inspiring story because you don't see this often. Normally it's a 5-star recruit out of high school that goes to some college, like a Cam Little type, and absolutely cooks his way into the NFL. And this isn't even like Plan B. This wasn't even on the radar for Aubrey to become what he's become. But it's just innate ability and talent with just opportunity.
There's something to be said, though, for kickers' values, because there have been some that have been drafted. I'm thinking of the kid from Florida State a couple of years back that was kind of the most accurate college kicker ever, and then flamed out in the NFL in a season. It's the position. You don't know who's got the mental fortitude for it, and sometimes it's literally a golf swing. Like Charles Barkley used to be a good golfer, and now he can't tee off.
You don't know until you're actually put in that position, right?
Right.
You can't. You can go out to a practice field and boot 60-yarders all you want. I'm sure there's a lot of kickers out there who can, but then putting that person into pads into an arena with defenders running at you at full speed,
pressure,
game on the line. That stuff, like you're just either built for it or you're not.
Yeah.
And even when you miss one, can you come back and make one? I mean, those types of intrinsic qualities that most athletes need to have, like especially quarterbacks, it's rare to find in kickers because of that kind of mental game. So when you find one that can kind of keep it straight between the ears for multiple years of consistency, I don't know. Those are the guys that you want to lock up because it lends you to believe that they can continue to do it for multiple years.
Can we get George Stephanopoulos and the ABC News fact checkers to double check on it? When was Charles Barkley a good golfer? I don't remember.
At some point.
Chuck is nice. He is.
Look at that.
They only show you his bad shots because it's good. It's good engagement.
It's Shaq and a fool just on golf. That's
right, but he's don't sleep on Chuck.
Yeah,
okay.